We apologize for interrupting your doom scrolling. Now, for some positive leftist news.
Welcome to Positive Leftist News, your beacon of revolutionary optimism in a world hell-bent on stamping it out. We've got some incredibly inspiring stories this month, from workers blocking the flow of weapons to colonizers to landmark strike wins. But first, I'd like to share some exciting news. As many of you may know, PLN has been on Means TV for some time now. Means TV is a worker-owned cooperative dedicated to supporting and producing anti-capitalist media. The streaming service hosts us, along with other rad creators like Second Thought and Luna Oi, full-length documentaries like Abby Martin's Gaza Fights for Freedom, and Means original content like Means Morning News, Seriously Wrong's Papa and Boy, and much more. Given the level of suppression that most leftist creators face on big tech platforms, it's really amazing to be able to host our content on a platform we know will always support us. We're happy to announce that we are now able to offer viewers a discount on joining Means TV. If you sign up using our link and code, which is MEXI, you'll get 20% off your first month, which comes to $7.99. Or you can go with the annual option and get 20% off the entire year. Every person who signs up using our code will therefore not only be contributing directly to the financial sustainability of the Means TV cooperative media project and helping to fund more original content, but will also be supporting our channel as well. So if you have the means, consider taking us up on the discount. The link and code are in the description box below. And I promise you this will be the only kind of ad you ever see on this channel, so without further ado, let's get inspired. October 7th marked a year of Palestinian resistance to colonialism, apartheid, and genocide. The anniversary saw worldwide demonstrations as millions rallied in solidarity with Palestinians and demanded an end to the violence. In the US, 20,000 people marched in New York City alone, converging near the United Nations headquarters, calling for an arms embargo and for the US to stop bankrolling the bombardment. Across South America, rallies took place in Caracas, Venezuela, Quito, Ecuador, San Juan, Puerto Rico, Santiago, Chile, Sao Paulo, Brazil, Buenos Aires, Argentina, and Bogota, Colombia. Joining the thousands that marched in Havana, Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel said against the genocide in Gaza and Lebanon, against the Israeli attempt to exterminate the noble Palestinian people, against imperial impunity for the genocidaires, Cuba marches with our historic demand: let the philosophy of plunder cease, and the philosophy of war will cease. In London, approximately 300,000 people marched, with former Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn urging we must end the occupation of Palestine. Demonstrations also occurred across Asia in cities such as Tokyo, Seoul, Karachi, and New Delhi, where the masses criticized government complicity. The global outcry reflects growing resistance to Western imperialism and hypocrisy, with unions and workers increasingly willing to put their bodies on the line to fight for justice. In but one powerful example, dozens of members of a Greek Dockworkers union successfully blocked the loading of a container of ammunition destined for Israel. The container held 21 tons of ammunition trucked from North Macedonia and was meant to be loaded aboard a Marshall Islands flag ship bound for Israel. In a statement on Facebook, the union wrote, "It's time to shout loudly that we won't allow Piraeus Port to become a war springboard. We fight for peace. No to Greece's participation in the war." Pictures uploaded on the page showed people lighting flares and slogans sprayed on a truck that read, "Murderers, get out of the port." The union put out a request for others to join, and the resulting action successfully prevented the container from being loaded on the ship, forcing it to depart without the weapons. An incredible display of worker power and solidarity. 500 activists from Jewish Voice for Peace have demanded Wall Street stop profiting from the genocide of Palestinians. On October 14th, Indigenous Peoples Day, these protesters staged a dramatic sit-in outside the New York Stock Exchange, calling for an immediate embargo on arms sales to Israel and an end to the genocide. Protesters targeted corporations like Raytheon and Lockheed Martin for profiteering from the ongoing conflict, financing arms manufacturers whose products are used against civilians. The protests included acts of civil disobedience, with some activists chaining themselves to the doors of the stock exchange. More than 200 participants were arrested, including elders and descendants of Holocaust survivors, as they blocked the building's entrances, chanting "Gaza bombed, Wall Street booms, fund healthcare, housing, FEMA, not genocide." JVP organizer Elena Stein was one of those arrested. She said, "There is nothing anti-Semitic about fighting for people's right to live. We are filled with horror beyond words and are attempting to embody just an ounce of that refusal." Stein called Israel's actions in Gaza a war of extermination done with U.S. cover. This action was yet another example of strong Jewish opposition to Israel. At any given Palestine rally, there is always a disproportionate amount of Jewish participation, often punching as high as possible. Jewish-led actions have shut down major transit hubs, shopping centers, and even occupied Congress. Yes, my friends, Palestine will be free. In a win for the BDS movement, Chevron has announced a halt to its $500 million expansion project at the Leviathan gas field in the Mediterranean, citing a deteriorating security situation in the region. The move follows intensified calls from boycott, divestment, and sanctions activists who have urged Chevron to end its business dealings with Israel, accusing the company of complicity in genocide and apartheid. Activists argue that continuing operations amid the ongoing human rights violations is both ethically indefensible and financially risky. Chevron's pause on the expansion reflects the increasing power of targeted BDS campaigns. The company now faces mounting demands to fully withdraw from all energy contracts with Israel as activists keep up the pressure. The first tribal-led marine sanctuary has been established in the U.S., protecting Central California waters. More than 4,500 square miles off the Central California coast have been designated the Chumash Heritage National Marine Sanctuary. This historic move, driven by the Northern Chumash tribe's decade-long advocacy, will be the nation's third largest, safeguarding the tribe's ancestral coastline and its rich marine life from oil drilling and undersea mining. Indigenous-led protected areas are at once declarations of sovereignty and commitments to environmental and cultural conservation and rejuvenation. "This is the fulfillment of a dream my father had," said Violet Sage Walker, chairwoman of the Northern Chumash Tribal Council. "He wanted people to know that we are the stewards of this land." The sanctuary is home to sacred sites like Point Conception and diverse ecosystems including kelp forests and migrating whales. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration will co-manage the sanctuary with local tribes. Walker commented on the broader significance of the sanctuary, stating, "We're still here, and so are the Indigenous people wherever you live. Our contribution to saving the planet is vital." We've said it before, and we'll say it again, land back here and everywhere. In a landmark victory, the International Longshoremen's Association secured a 62% wage increase over 6 years for 45,000 longshore workers, temporarily halting a strike that had shut down East Coast ports from Maine to Texas. The wage hike agreement, reached on October 4th after just 4 days of picketing, is the welcomed result of the first ILA strike since 1977. However, one of the most contentious issues, automation, remains unresolved, with a new contract deadline set for January 15, 2025. The workers plan to restart their strike at that time. One dock worker from Philadelphia said, "We're relieved to be back at work, but the battle isn't over. The wage increase is a big win, but if machines start replacing us, that extra pay won't matter." The ILA is calling for a ban on the automation of cranes, gates, and container movements that are essential to port operations. The ILA then proposes linking automation to shorter work hours with no loss in pay to compensate for any job reductions. The fear of displacement is real. A highly automated port being built in Mexico raises concerns about increased competition, with the potential to attract shipping business away from the U.S. Longshore workers are also mindful of other industries where automation has led to widespread job losses and de-skilling, leaving workers with fewer employment options. If no agreement is reached by January, the ILA plans to call for broader labor solidarity, urging workers from other sectors to join them on the picket lines. One longshoreman said, "We're not just fighting for our jobs, we're fighting for the future of all workers. This is about ensuring that technology serves people, not profits." After a 37-day strike at a Samsung plant in Tamil Nadu, India, the Samsung India Workers Union declared victory after management agreed to respond to all their demands and not take any punitive measures against them. More than 1,300 out of a total of around 1,800 workers at the plant participated in the strike, which began on September 9th. The workers had 3 major demands: better working conditions, better wages, and the recognition of their union. The Center for Indian Trade Union, along with several other unions and left parties across the country, congratulated the workers for their steadfast fight against the Samsung management and called their struggle a victory. Congratulations to the workers. Tenants at Quality Hill Towers and Independence Towers in Kansas City have been engaged in a historic rent strike, with Independence Towers tenants securing compensation. Their action was the first in the city's history to target the Federal Housing Finance Authority and the first tenant strike in Kansas City since 1980. Nearly 200 residents withheld rent to protest unacceptable living conditions and to demand better maintenance, collectively bargained leases, and a national cap on rent increases at 3% for federally backed housing. They collectively kept over $60,000 from the landlords this month. Tenants say they tried reporting issues through local channels, but with little success. The properties are backed by loans from Fannie Mae, a government-sponsored enterprise that supports housing finance. In May, Fannie Mae took legal action against the owner of Independence Towers, resulting in a court-appointed receiver, Triglid Inc., being tasked with managing the property. However, residents claimed that conditions had not improved. Taking brave action contravening Missouri law, tenants remained resolute and united, using the strike to draw attention to housing issues affecting renters nationwide. "We're standing up for ourselves, but also for tenants everywhere who are tired of being exploited," said a Quality Hill Towers resident. "We're fighting for decent living conditions and fair treatment, and we won't back down." Their tenacity won them a $1.35 million payout from Fannie Mae to help address the long-standing repair issues at the complex. While the union called this a major victory and celebrated the step, they remain committed to the strike as they are seeking more than a one-time payout, but real structural solutions. The tenants are calling for broader reforms, including rent caps and federal intervention to mandate safe conditions in all Fannie Mae-backed properties. One tenant stated, "We're not just asking for repairs, we're demanding dignity. This is our home, and we deserve to live without fear or filth. The strike is just the beginning." Thailand has made history as the first country in Southeast Asia to legalize same-sex marriage, following the king's endorsement of their landmark marriage equality bill. The legislation will take effect in January, enabling LGBTQ+ couples to marry and enjoy the same legal, financial, and medical rights as heterosexual couples. The new law, which passed the House and Senate earlier this year, uses gender-neutral language and grants adoption and inheritance rights to same-sex partners. Activists have hailed it as a monumental step for equal rights. China's aggressive push into clean energy is reshaping the global transition landscape, with implications that extend well beyond its borders. Over the past decade, global clean energy investments surged from $248 billion in 2014 to a remarkable $745 billion in 2023, with China leading the charge. The country has developed more clean energy technologies than the rest of the world combined, investing nearly $400 billion in solar and wind power alone last year, far outpacing other regions. This growth has pressured other nations to accelerate their own transitions to keep pace. Rystad energy analysts noted that China's rapid scale-up has been a game changer. The nation's dominance in the clean energy sector, controlling 80% of the global solar PV supply chain and nearly 90% of solar component production, has not only positioned it as a clean tech leader, but has also created a ripple effect worldwide. "It's a wake-up call," said an energy expert, highlighting how other regions, especially Europe and the US, are stepping up their efforts to catch up. With Chinese technological development fast outpacing other countries, the US and the European Union have resorted to tariffs on Chinese products, including electric vehicles. The Biden administration recently raised import taxes on Chinese EVs to over 100%. China's pace is also catching the oil industry off guard. With electric vehicle sales capturing 50% of its domestic market, the International Energy Agency predicts that China's rise in electric mobility will reduce global crude oil demand by 6 million barrels per day by 2030. While China's oil consumption is expected to peak soon, its electrification rate continues to grow faster than GDP, driven by well-planned economic policies that favor renewables. As the Chinese demand for oil imports decrease, other nations will have to choose whether to fast-track their energy transitions by leveraging China's cost-effective components or invest heavily in domestic manufacturing at higher costs. Either way, we are here for the world feeling this push. If you have good news from the current month, please send your stories to mexi@protonmail.com. Thank you to Javi for the positive news jams. Thank you to Cosmo for the positive news background. Thank you to Catherine and me for script writing and production. And yours truly again for hosting and editing this one. Remember to check out our link and code for discounted access to Means TV. Another way to support the show would be at patreon.com/positiveleftistnews, or you can give us a one-time tip. The link is in the description box below.